Good morning, Smarties. How's everyone doing this morning? Yeah, today is Tuesday, February 24th, and we are excited to be on air after a long week of school vacation, and now we're going on to 2 snow days here in Central Mass. Um, the kids will be barging in at any minute, so just be prepared. Let's go ahead and get some posts out that we are live. Just give me a second. I'm so excited to chat with you all. I have to say, I loved our after hours chat. I feel like that one got a lot of views. So maybe we make that a regular segment because it seemed to be quite popular. And I know 10 o'clock isn't the best time for a banker show. But I mean, come on. If your IT director hasn't blocked YouTube, why not, right? You can always watch it on your phone. That and the ride home when you're pumping at the gym later, turn on a little BankSmart Carrie, right? Well, let's get rolling. Hello, everyone. My name is CarrieAnne Cormier. I am your host here at The Carrie Show on BankSmart Studio. A little bit about me. I'm a financial services executive by trade, currently taking a much needed sabbatical from corporate life. Although I am a financial services executive, I am a social and marketing nerd at heart. So that is where a lot of my passion lies. And you'll see that woven in throughout our studio. So in this time, I'm taking the opportunity to pursue some passion projects, one of them here being BankSmart Studio, and sharing a lot of my ideas and thoughts and just some around the web news in the banking world. So we have a couple things to chat about today, but this show can go wherever you'd like it to go. So throw in the chat where you're tuning in from. I'd love to hear from you. If I don't respond, it's because I have my new streamer tool up and I might not see it, but I think I can do this. So just bear with me. Okay. Okay. We're going to do the glasses for a little bit. I just came back from Maine. I spent a couple days there. A shout out to my friends at Kennebunk Savings and Bangor Savings. I saw a couple of you up there, and a few M&T friends. There was quite a few M&T banks, and I didn't realize that. So that was pretty cool. I love me some Bangor Savings though. You guys are slay. So good. Always one of my faves. I think if I ever my two goal places was always Cape Cod or Maine for fun retired banker life. So that's maybe one time when I'm older, you guys are going to come hire me. I'll come live up there. Does that sound good? Yeah. Let me just arrange my screen so I can see a couple things. How's everyone doing? Let's check in. Let's check in real quick on your Q1 sales goals. How's everyone doing? We are, February's almost closing. The month is going to end. So if your quarterly goals, you still have one more month, but if you're monthly, TikTok. Okay. I see a lot of people transitioning from the first of the year debt consolidation to first-time home buyer program. So we got to get our first-time home buyer stuff going. That's always a good thing to promote. I'm sorry, I'm multitasking. There we go. Okay, cool. Yeah, first-time home buyer is always a good thing to promote, especially in the spring. A lot of places have a first-time home buyer credit that they offer. They do home buyer seminars, which let's be real, that should be something all year long. People need education. I also feel there hasn't been a lot of innovation in the first-time home buyers space, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'd love to see if there's some cool ones out there. But it's always let's come to our branch that's really gross and boring and talk to one of my old stuffy mortgage originators. I've been places and seen, the mortgages and margaritas come to the local brewery and we'll do beers and talk bank shop. I think that's pretty cool. Remember when Periscope was a thing? the live streaming service that Twitter had originally or integrated. I remember my team had done some Periscopes lives back in the day for home buying questions. And I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, you got to try the different things and see if they work, right? What are some other good ones? Anyone doing like virtual? Does virtual get like a hit? I guess you have to know your community. Some communities want that like intimate, like sit around like a table or in a little line setup, like a theater vibe. I would just rather creep and like watch it online. So maybe that's like a demographic thing too. Like if you're really trying to target like millennials or Gen Z first time home buyers, maybe you don't want to do an in-person thing unless it's going to be really fun. Or you got to collab with someone really cool. I don't know. What's everyone doing? I remember one time, this always has to be a partnership. And I think this is a good tip people probably have already thought of, but I'm going to share it anyway because it really helped us. One, grow relationships across business lines, and two, get people in seats for like mortgage seminars. So a while ago, I was working with a team. They had insisted that they do on-site mortgage seminars. Like, sure. So what I did was, as head of retail, I had told my retail group that if you can get a cheek in a seat for the seminar, that counts as a mortgage referral. So you got your $25 payout. And that actually, it was a very success because it was really, I told them no funny business. Like if I sniffed funny business, you did not get the payout and you got something else instead. But it was a lot of people that were on the fence that weren't quite ready for a mortgage referral, but they could make it to the seminar. They were thinking, they just wanted to be educated. Maybe they were a couple years away. And it produced some good leads and helped educate, and also helped the mortgage team not have an empty seminar. I have to say also one thing that really helped, the marketing team put together an amazing like swag raffle for like going to the seminar. I remember they raffled off like a Nest like thermostat, which at the time was like fairly new and like really exciting, and like people didn't always have them. So it wasn't just like, oh, come get a Padfolio with a free pen. Woohoo. You get $100 off your closing costs that we were probably going to do anyway. It was a really cool swag that they did. So that was really appreciative. But think of some creative ways. Like, how are you meeting your sales goals in Q1? What other kind of sales goals do you have? Drop in the chat where you're tuning in from. This could vary by location too. I'm not very familiar with ag lending and such, but maybe there are tractor goals. Maybe there are farm equipment goals. Anyone in the aerospace, airplane goals. I don't know these things. We were our typical commercial lending, consumer lending, residential lending. Within commercial, there was definitely different business lines that I'm accustomed to. Dental, solar, law practices. Let's see what else. Yeah, CPAs, things like that. But not into ag or aero. So would love to hear from those that are, like, what goals like that look like. But we gotta go. We're getting close. We're getting close to the end of the quarter. Now's the final push. Everyone can do this. Hands in. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, team. I promise I won't wear these the whole, but I might switch through them because they're really rad. I got them on vacation this week, and I'm gonna make them my entire vibe from now on. Be warned. We'll switch. I also ordered myself a new sweatshirt that's gonna match my light here. So you're gonna love that when it comes in. Oh, I liked those other ones better. Oh well, that's fine. You're gonna love that when it comes in. So, all right, welcome everyone. We're gonna get into the meat of this. If you're not already, be sure to like and subscribe. You do not want to miss an episode. These are riveting. Like and subscribe. Share with a friend. Everything helps the algo. Keeping me away from corporate life and getting to do this fun stuff with you. Cool. So I saw this interesting, it started out as like, I'm going to say like a meme or like a graphic on Instagram. And I thought it was some new data, but it turns out that it's actually from this time last year, April 2025-ish. So I still feel like it's relevant to share because it was very intriguing. And we're going to talk about it anyway. So I found the original article. The title was 21 Job Titles That Will Disappear by 2030. And you think, okay, how many times have I heard that? How many times are checks going away, right? I started in banking in 2005, and I was hearing people that were working with me. They're like, oh, we heard checks were going away in the 80s. That's not happening anytime soon. And, check volumes have declined significantly, I'm sure. However, there's no, although we've been able to do away with the penny, checks are still alive and well. So take this with what you will. I'm sure people have been hearing, certain jobs will be going away for the last 2 decades, but here we are. And hold on, give me 1 second. Let me pause this. I need to pause. Okay, that would have been a great time to do if one of my kids was walking in, but I really just had to blow my nose. Oh, here we go. Okay, he's going to come on and say hi. Can you say hi?
Hi.
This is Joey. You forgot a huggy? Okay, we're live on the show, so we're going to give you a huggy, and you're going to go back and lay Paw Patrol, okay? Okay, shut the door.
What's that?
Those are my glasses. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you. Okay, so my twins are 4. And let's see, maybe none of these jobs will exist by the time they're in the workforce. All right, so I'm going to just go with the top 5 because they're the most interesting. So number 1, postal service clerks. Number 2, hold on. Okay, we have not heard the last of him. He's my most spirited one. Okay, so rewinding. 21 job titles that'll disappear by 2030. We're going to go with the first 5. They're the most interesting. So number 1, postal service clerks. Number 2, bank tellers and related clerks. Number 3, data entry clerks. Number 4, retail cashiers and ticket clerks. Number 5, administrative assistants and executive secretaries. So what does this all mean, right? Well, I'm going to read you some of the articles. Close your eyes. Pretend that nothing is going to change. By 2030, your workplace will be unrecognizable, and you'll wish you stayed in the loop. Approximately 92 million jobs, representing about 8% of total employment, will be completely obsolete in 2030, the World Economic Forum projected in its 2025 Future of Jobs reports. McKinsey's study points out that jobs most susceptible to elimination over the next few years will be the ones that are fairly predictable and repetitive in nature. Additionally, the collection and processing of data are 2 other categories of activities that increasingly can be done better and faster with machines. This could displace large amounts of labor. For instance, in mortgage origination, paralegal work, accounting, and back office transaction processing. So this is so interesting. So I think when I started my career in 2005, tellers were definitely felt like still a thing. I don't think we had quite had the transition to universal bankers yet. That started happening a little bit later, at least from what I can recall. Not at my organization, that took a lot longer. But it was definitely, there was always that cross training, right? So, you may have been a teller, but you were cross training to be a CSR, or maybe you were cross training to be a head teller, to take on some like supervisory duties. And it felt like at the time, that came with just the perk of getting to do it. Like, yay, I have keys and codes now, or yay, I can take stuff on the desk. It wasn't really always tied to a clear career progression or monetary incentive. And I think that's where a lot of places fall short. Um, I see this with like management and leadership trainings too. You know, you put people through the courses. That's really good career development for them. But what is also the incentive for them to um, like what's in it for them monetarily? And I know like for some of these things, employers pony up the money, right? And say, okay, well, we're going to pay for you to go this. That's the monetary incentive. I'm going to say that that doesn't work anymore. It probably worked for millennials. Um, Kids like me that just wanted to do a good job and just wanted to get a promotion. Um, but I found that in my experience, Gen Z and definitely going to be with Gen Alpha, they need to show skill and level progression, and it has to be tied to a dollar amount. I would have team members that have been there for 30 days and they're like, I need a promotion. I'm like, what? What? Like, I think it took me like a couple years for my first promotion. You got to put in the work. It's like, no, that's not, I'm just going to go somewhere else now. You're like, what? So I think I'll share a little bit about what has worked in my teams, and none of this I will say has been developed by me. It was all developed by people much smarter than me that I worked with. At two organizations, I had really good teams that understood the need to progress people within the retail field. So we're just going to talk about retail for this exact moment. Like when you're a teller and you know your next step isn't going to be till a CSR spot opens up, and you know those CSRs work there until they're like 72 and they're not giving up their slot. That is their comfort zone. They were born at that branch and they will die at that branch. Right? Am I right? Yeah, comment if you know a CSR like that. We've probably cycled through a lot of them. But we found early on that there needed to be levels within the retail team. So people that say, and I know I'm going to get a lot of crap for this, but people that say the universal banker model works, I call bullshit. Okay? You can't hire everyone to be a universal banker from the gate. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I've seen it. We've tried it. It doesn't work. One, someone always ends up on the drive-through. Okay? And then you're paying someone like $27 an hour to work the drive-through, and they're angry because they don't care if they're getting paid $27 an hour. They want to sit on the desk. All right? They want the business cards. They want to be on the desk. And you could say, oh, we're going to rotate someone every day. That doesn't work either, because someone that comes in yesterday wants to come in and talk to someone today. It's clunky. So what we found, two different organizations I've worked at, creating career levels within the retail division, specifically on the lower end. So, and it works on the management end too, but we'll get into that. So like, say you start in as a teller, right? Then you can progress to a universal teller. And that comes with being able to do some CSR light things. Like maybe you can order debit cards. Maybe you can change addresses. Maybe you can do a check order, like those extra things. And does that get you some additional training and another 50 cent or 25 cent bump? Then you can progress to a universal banker. And then that's being able to do all the different things on the desk, account opening, loans, all that. Then there's like a senior universal banker, right? And then you're like a key holder, etc. We've also seen, a solution advisor 1, 2, 3. So a 1 would be the same thing as a teller, entry level. You come in, you can do the basics, then you go through your certification for a 2. That gives you some extra. Maybe you can do account opening then, right? So maybe in this level you can do account opening, and then 3 you add on lending, right? So, and this would be all the qualifications within those levels. I'm losing my train of thought because I have a kid that's going to be busting through the door any second. That's fun. Shout out to all the parents that are just like getting through. Like, this has been a hard 2 weeks, and I don't even work full time right now. And we had a snow day yesterday and a snow day today, and it's like crazy. And my husband is an essential worker, so like no snow days for him. So here we are. Yeah. So going back to this, we're getting sidetracked because this is just free and loose. So having the levels that then correlate to like a pay bump and a upskilling. But here's what the article recommends. And I think this is really interesting. So let's assume, for the sake of this thing, that bank tellers are going to be gone by 2030. What are we doing now to prepare those teams? And a lot of that could even be, like, I don't think it'll be gone by 2030, but like a lot of the basic customer service stuff could actually be done virtually. Like, think of all the virtual banks that accomplish this without a branch. We're going to switch gears for a second. Hold on. I got to find this because this relates LinkedIn. Hold on. Maybe I can pull it up. Would that be worth it? Would it be worth it to pull this up? Because I got a comment. We're going to comment on this. So who posted this? Show more results. Was it a friend of mine? It was so good. It was so good. I love LinkedIn. I don't know why. It's just my jam. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Yeah. Jim Perry. A good old Twitter friend. Okay, hold on. Let's pull this up. Oh, but okay, hold on. I gotta switch gears. Because I gotta be in Chrome. And I'm probably not logged in. But that's okay, because then you won't see all my other stuff. Okay. So, screen. Share screen. Share screen. Here we go. Okay. So, when I say that anything that can be done in a branch can be done online, we're going to take this, again, with a grain of salt, because here's an example. Okay. Let me see if I can see this. Perfect. Okay. So my good old friend Jim Perry posted this. After a frustrating call center experience this morning, I had to go to a branch of my local community-based financial institution to update my email address. Ready? The comments have me roaring. Here's me, of course. And to sign a paper form to approve it too. Okay, ready? I love Jen. Oh, you can't see it. Okay, hold on. Stop sharing. All right. Another friend of mine, I'll just read it. Jen Freeman writes, and manually scan into the doc imaging repository. Yes. And I'm going to comment. after that. I'm going to say, don't forget the day 2 verification check or it's going to end up on a log. Yeah, so many people. Hold on. Let's go back. We won't dig in a little bit. We'll just, yeah. Oh, wait, here we go. Share screen. I'm not going to log in. We'll just read what's there. So many people. I had to go to mine this week for the second time to update my email address. I did it online, but it wasn't saving to the core. These are the days I miss working in the local credit union world, and there are days that make me shudder about the thought of going back. Sadly, I'm not surprised. What year are we in? Yep. That's a huge CX fail. I'm with you. Oh my gosh. And it's so common. So again, it's like all of this can be done using digital tools. Why are we not doing that already? It probably could have been done 10 years ago using digital tools. I remember one of the things that I always fought my internal auditing team. So at one point I had an internal auditing team and they would audit my risks and controls for different processes. So at one point I had done away with customer signatures on a paper form for changing addresses, phone numbers, email address, etc. And it took them a couple years to push back. But at one point they woke up and decided it wasn't good enough. So the risk was, theoretically, if I was a rogue employee, I could change someone's I could change someone's mailing address to my own mailing address or to a P.O. box that I owned or whatever, and direct their mail and statements there. So in the event I was doing something nefarious, they would not see their statements. Okay, sure. Could happen. But the control was that we would send a day 2 letter, which was automated from our print house using a file upload, that if so-and-so's address was changed, there would be a letter that goes to the old address and a letter that goes to the new address saying, did you make this change? If not, please call. Seems fine to me. It was a good control because there wasn't a way to suppress or stop anything from going to the old address to say, hey, this was changed, which was great. In the event, it was like when it was changed in the system, so there was no way of the member self-serving. They would have to call or come to a branch. Fine. But they could still call. But we would log it in the CRM and it would change the address. So auditing wanted to see something that ensured the customer was in front of them, like a paper signature. And I'm like, absolutely not. We've done away with that. And this was we did away with it in probably, 2008. And this started coming up again in 2015. And I was like, why are we talking about this now? It was crazy. And every year I would set my calendar. It would be probably around this time of the year, February, March. I'd get the meeting planner. They'd want to talk about it. They'd want to do away with it. They'd want to implement a form. And I'd say, no, we're not going to do it. So I'd just pull my file, my digital notes from last time and say, okay, this is what we talked about. This is what we're still doing. I accept the risk. And it was just ridiculous. And it's well, if I wanted to change address A, B, and C, but didn't want to change the address on account D, how do we know? And I'm like, at some point, you just have to trust the process. And if someone chose not to change their, a paper form with signature isn't going to make any difference. Well, you're putting the onus on the customer to call if something's wrong. Well, yeah, that's the world that we live in. I'm sorry, but American Express doesn't send me a paper form to sign. It's ridiculous. That's how things get like messed up, is when people like fake. I'm like, who here? Please show me someone here that is a handwriting expert that can attest that this is valid. I'm not. No one here is. So it was a whole big thing, but like we finally, did I ever do it? No, we just kept it that way and it was fine. I like never budged, but as soon as I left, they jumped on the next person behind me and like fresh meat. But they eventually switched to a new digital provider that allowed you to self-service with a digital, which is all I wanted. That would have been fine. The provider we were on previously didn't offer it. So I think one of the things, like, financial institutions look to their digital partners to be able to provide this technology. I'm sure there would have been ways around it to build it ourselves. Probably wouldn't have been very secure. I'm thinking of like different form links and stuff. Yeah. I don't know. But like going back to the article, let's pull the article back up. Shout out to the replay crew, by the way. If you're watching this later in the day, thank you for joining. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Yeah, so the same thing, like when you talk about like data collection and people that are taking data from paper forms and typing it into a different system. I worked with a team that was able to do, like, they had to take stuff from one system and put it into the other, and they actually had a team doing that. But they were able to use a system that screen scraped it and then wrote a program that had it just fill in where it needed to, and it like saved so many hours. And I'm like, why aren't more places doing that? And then I'm at like I'll say a smaller credit union, and there was all these manual processes, and like the excuse was always like, well, we know we can improve, but we don't have time to. When are you ever going to have time to? Like, you need to make these small improvements when you can. And I'm sorry, but like maintaining a paper log of like outstanding like signature cards or like forms, that's ridiculous. Even if you have to track that stuff to QC it, why aren't you not locking that in a CRM that's able to be reportable and assignable and trackable? Like, if you are still doing it on an Excel spreadsheet, God bless you, because that is ridiculous. And like, talk about like AI and technology coming for your jobs. Like, again, we need brains. So when it talks about this is really good. So it talks about how to future-proof your career. So this is twofold, right? If you're someone in one of these roles, thinking about ways to focus on your own career development, but also if you're the leader or manager of people in these roles, how are you? It's really your job to be helping grow their careers as well and upskilling them too. So there's really there's 3 tips on here, but I'm gonna just go with, hold on. Oh, did I do that? Oh, I didn't. Man, you guys had to hear that. Sorry. It's like cold season in my house. Ugh. Upskill where the demand is. So this is cool. Look at where the market is moving forward by analyzing job reports. Some skills, which have already been listed as high growth skills, include AI literacy, data analysis, talent leadership, user experience, digital marketing, and critical thinking problem solving. Like, I think that's so good. So like, think about people that you have on your teams, right? That you can help shape their roles into some of these areas. So like, I'll give you an example. Previously, again, I led a large group of retail team members, and in the organization outside of retail, we had developed a brand ambassador team. And this brand ambassador team met monthly. They had social profiles. They were able to get an additional like social training, and were able to post on social media in their own professionally branded pages on behalf of the institution, like kind of like thought leaders. And now a lot of them were like entry level, like deposit ops team members or retail team members, and they got this exposure to this whole other world that provided them with like professional personal branding skills, communication skills, social media, social selling skills. Like this was such a cool thing that one, yes, was about promoting the organization and amplifying our brand reach. That was like what's in it for the company. But what was in it for the employees was really being able to give more and learn more outside of their regular role. And it was really cool because they got to network with people from all over the organization. So we had people in other leadership roles. So this was like a high visibility group that, you got to network with like other managers, other vice presidents, and someone in like I'll say an entry level role doesn't gonna get that experience all the time. So that when like another opening comes up, they think of, oh, hey, so and so, Sean's really good at that, or this one's really good at that, and it created like a mini network of like people that you knew that were like supposedly right, like up and coming go-getters, stuff like that. And it also gave them these different skills. And one of the things that we didn't have was like I said earlier, like a monetary component. It was more like, I'm going to say like a social club. It wasn't like a required part of the job. They did get like access to like exclusive tickets or swag that wasn't available to the larger group. I do think that at some point we should have offered, and we had talked about this before shutting down the program, but doing like a monetary bonus for the extra like work put in. But it was really in the like initial stages over the first couple of years and just testing and growing. But I think that like anyone that wants to put something like this together, like a employee advocacy program or a brand ambassador program, when they hit a certain level, I think there should be a monetary component to it. Maybe not right away, but it was a lot of work for the team members that joined. And they did a lot of volunteer events after hours, and it definitely looks great on a resume. They built something that was like world renowned and, featured in publications internationally. But I don't know if they understood the impact of that. But it was pretty big. So like, think about how you could take team members within your own little cohorts. Like one of the things I see here really good, critical thinking and problem solving, user experience, talent leadership. Those are all really good ones. And how you can transfer some of the retail jobs, critical thinking and problem solving. That's what we do every day. Process improvement, throw that one on there. Like, think about how if you're in these front-facing roles or you're leading teams in these front-facing roles, how can you leverage those skills within there and highlight them? Because I think like even if they're up for like an internal promotion, right? We always had a company intranet site where you could post like an impression or a kudos, which was like a brag about someone in the team member, like a thank you almost. And I would always post something about like what someone did and what the impact was. So not like, oh, thanks for helping out this customer. You did a great job. Like I told the story and said like what the impact was, both maybe for the customer member and for the organization, and how much it really helped. And I think that's important. Like, so if someone like in your branch or in your department solves like a problem, shout it out there. If you don't have some sort of like public recognition in your intranet or internal site, send an email to like different leadership teams and share. Like recognition of your team members is so important. And I think it's something that frequently gets missed and left behind. But show like, hey, they didn't just help this customer, right? They did this thought process and solved this problem. So you know what? Next time that there's like a promotion opportunity, you hate to lose them, but if they have the opportunity to like grow into another role within the organization, and one of the skills needed is like critical thinking or problem solving, it's amazing. That like highlights how they've done that. Right? Oh, okay. Perfect. That brings us right into the next one. So upskill where the demand is. Highlight transferable skill stacks. So we just talked about that. Frame your career identity around your transferable skills and experiences, which are shared across multiple roles. Reframe your experiences around outcomes that are needed in most roles, such as process improvement, digital management, cross-functional collaboration, and workflow optimization. I think that's so important. So important. So, give me 1 second. Okay, sorry. Starting to get stuffy again. Man, what a day. This will go down as one of the best episodes. So, every interview I've been on, they always talk about cross-functional collaborations, and it is so important. And it's something that clearly has a deficit at many and most organizations. So, how do you work across business lines? It's hard because teams have to want to, and as much as they say they do, I'm not sure that they do. One of the um, most successes I've had is like building cross-functional teams. So, for example, things that are centered around common projects. So, product and pricing teams. So, instead of like retail, and I saw this recently, the question was, when retail develops a CD product, how does marketing find out about it? I'm like, why is marketing not at the table from the beginning? That's ridiculous. Why is compliance and training and everyone not at the table from the beginning? And it's just wild. So I've always developed like product and pricing teams. And so if you're going to develop a new product, you need retail, finance, whoever your technical lead is, whether that lives in IT or like um, a core management function, training, marketing, someone from like deposit operations, regular operations, electronic operations. Who else? Lending, I like to include them, but sometimes like they would like to opt out, just send me the recap. That's cool. It's not a loan product. That's cool. But you need like a cross-functional team, and having like a concise project plan that you can like repeat, cut and paste every time you develop a product, it gets a process down, and makes it so much easier. Not just a million emails on developing products and who do I loop in only when I think it's necessary. No, everyone should be at the table from the beginning, and they can choose to opt out, but it needs to be in a project plan that they can go in, look at it. Compliance, if they have a question, they can just go in. That is how I've seen it work best. But it can only work if teams are willing to make it work. If you have team members in like operations that say that's not how we do it, it's not going to work. Or why is training involved? What do they have to do with it? Hello? Why is training involved? They are the single most important department in this organization. Why do people discount the training group? They're so important. It's wild. So anyway, being able to lead and develop those kind of cross-functional teams, what a great way to upskill. So I'll give you an example. I remember going into a branch one time, and I always use this reference a lot. One of the tellers comes up to me, and now I'm like the senior vice president of retail, and they come up to me, they're like, we need to start a book club. And I'm like, okay. You can't see my eye roll. I'm like, okay, that's great. I'm not going to start a book club for you. If you want to start a book club, do the work. Okay. No, I said it much nicer. I was like, great. I love that. Put together your proposal, your plan, what you want to do, when you want to meet, and I'm happy to be the executive sponsor. But I'm not going to start a book club for you. Oh, okay, cool. I'll do that. Didn't do it. But can I tell you that if someone started like a book club within the organization, like how cool would that have been? What would that have shown for their cross-functional team skills? I would have backed the hell out of that. Like legit. And I think that is so neat. So I want people to know that like no matter what role you're in, you could be building these like cross-functional skills, workflow optimization, process improvement. These are things you can cultivate at any level. Don't wait for the department heads or the executives to do this. They're not going to. Like, should they and can they? Probably. But like there's so much going on. Like the people that will know how to improve things the most are you on the front lines. Like, for real. Okay, I'm switching glasses again. Am I right? Like, you talk to any frontline team members, and this is what I hate about, like, process improvement committees. Oh, the movie just paused?
Yeah.
Joey hates process improvement committees too. It makes him sad. Okay, we're going to pause for a second and we're going to be right back, okay? Can you say, hold on?
No.
No. Okay, we'll be right back. Thanks to everyone for being patient with me. Thursday, I hope we'd be back in action with no interruptions. Cool. So I was talking about process improvement. Oh, this is getting into a little bit of like dishing. Should I dish? I don't know if I should dish. I feel like I should. Okay. So I think like I told a little bit about it on TikTok. You can follow BankSmart Carrie on TikTok. I haven't really posted much, but I posted a couple things. I don't know if I'm really meant for short form video. Like as you can tell, I'm kind of a little bit long-winded. But one of in our strategic plan a while ago, many years ago, it was part of it was make easier to do business with. And there was a team member very far removed from any sort of operational role, process improvement, but I will give this person credit. They had a laser sharp expectation for customer experience. And they were one of the louder complainers. So they got put head of the make it easier to do business committee. And it was kind of a drag because it was like a bitch session where we put up all the things that didn't work onto a big spreadsheet. And I'm not going to get too detailed into this because I'll go off the rails. But it ended up being a complaint of all the awful things that didn't work with like no game plan on how to fix it. And the problem is you get, I'm going to say like entry level team members, because I don't know how else to say it. Like, I don't want to say just like the retail frontline, but like the deposit ops clerks, like, well, that clerk role, you get their hopes up saying, give us all the things that we want to make better. Help us do it. We're going to fix it. And do we do anything? No. And then like a year later, we were like, oh, we're going to dust this off and refresh it. We're going to have you collect it. Like, why am I going to even put any effort into this? You didn't do anything about it last time. Like, you get people's hopes up. So don't do that. If you're going to do something like that, make them part of the project. I think team members like this that want to improve and know where this stuff goes, they should be part of the project from the beginning. It'll make a huge difference and it will help with their skill set. You don't need to have on your like if you're at a senior vice president level, like I never needed to like focus on resume building because if I was leading teams that were productive and high functioning and cohesive, that's spoke for itself. Like I didn't need to say, "Oh, I'm the head of this committee." I'm the head. Like I'll help, I'll support, I'll come up with the ideas. But let me put people that will succeed and excel in those roles, and highlight them. And I think that, like, not to like brag or anything, but that was like a testament to my leadership style. And those that have worked with me, I feel like I hope that they got something really great out of it because I saw so many people shine in ways that they never would have had if they hadn't been given the opportunity. And it was like the coolest, most fulfilling thing that I could ever do. I don't get me wrong, I put in a lot of the work. I saved a lot of projects. But bringing the right people in, I think, is so important. So as we look towards some of these data entry or basic clerk roles that, we're going to think Forbes is saying disappear by 2030, think of how we can help. Send them to workshops. Maybe it's not in their direct job function, but maybe it's something that they're interested in. I had team members that were interested in exploring IT and they were in different retail roles. I said, great, let's get you your basic certification. Test it out and see if you like it. We'll pay for it. Like, I feel like when you do things like that, it helps create loyalty and it's so much better. Joey, what are you doing, honey? You want a huggy? Okay. Joey's going to come join us for the last couple minutes. Okay. You want to join us for the last couple minutes?
Mommy, can I spell my name?
Not right now.
No. Can I spell my name? I'm also Rocky.
Joey, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do? What's your job going to be?
Spell my name.
Spelling your name?
And Rocky.
And Rocky? He loves Paw Patrol right now. Okay. Can you go sit in your room for one more minute?
Yeah, because and then I get to.
Okay.
And then I get to do spell my name.
Then you can spell your name, okay? Will you go sit? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll call you back when I'm done, okay? And then you can spell your name. You can, yes. Okay. Cool. So wrapping up. Not where I wanted to end, but that's okay. So one of the things that I'm just going to segue from, like, jobs that appear to be going away to something interesting that happened this week in my market. The Worcester Telegram and Gazette announced that they're going to end their print edition that's delivered by courier. So typically the newspaper courier, would drop off the paper. Let's ignore the fact that people still get newspapers because I think that's wild. But they're going to a U.S. Postal Service delivered edition. So the paper announced that starting in March, they're moving to this post office delivery versus carrier-based home delivery. Now, it's saying that most are still going to arrive when the normal print cycle would, which is daily. But it's hold on, let me switch to the article. Where was it saying? Okay, we'll just go with the details. So the paper cited changing realities of the journalism industry with consumers turning to online coverage to receive breaking news. Makes sense, right? I know a lot of, if I'm looking for live news, it's on Twitter or X. It's on Facebook, which both of them you have to take with like a little bit of grace that it might not be real, but like I can't imagine getting my news from a newspaper that's like 2 days later. they're saying, with the largest newsroom in Central Mass, a large history, they're committed to living up to that responsibility. Like many papers across the country, the T&G has seen a drop in circulation and advertising. Makes sense. As of October 2023, the Sunday paid print subscriptions were down to 11,000. 11,000 Sunday. So the Sunday has always been the biggest one because people get the ads and stuff like that, which isn't really the same anymore. But Sunday used to be the beefier subscription. So they're currently at 11,000 subscriptions printed, down from 57,700 in March 2014. So it's amazing that they're even still printing this. So it's funny because here's what they say. So they're actually owned by another large paper. Which is it? Which one are they owned by? Oh, the USA Today, which has already shifted to a mail delivery model. For many years now, the printed newspaper has served as a culmination of the stories that will become our collective history, while our website and mobile apps deliver the news of the day, says Senior Vice President of Local News for USA Today. We know that by the time our informed readers pick up the paper, they know what happened yesterday. The print paper should provide additional context to help readers understand their community and the world around them. That just blows my mind. They're pretty much saying, we know that by the time you get the news, it's already outdated, but it's serving as a stamp in history for you to remember it by. What? So you can save it in a drawer and in 50 years you can sell it on eBay and say that it was really important. That just blows my mind. Does that remind you of anything in banking? Passbooks? Remember when places allowed electronic deposit in passbooks, and then it was starting to be, oh yeah, the deposits were coming in, but the ledger balance on the passbook wasn't updated, so you'd have to update it when you came in. It's the same thing, but we kept those passbooks for as long as we could because it was a moment in time that allowed you to keep what your ledger balance was. That's just wild. And I've been able to eradicate passbooks at 2 organizations I've been at. And I remember when we got rid of them, I'm trying to think, it was maybe 2016, which 2015. It still seems like it should have been much earlier, but I remember being in a meeting with a bunch of other retail people from other banks, and they're like, I can't believe you're doing that. We're thinking about, this is a competitor down the street, they're like, we're thinking about having a come get your passbooks here promotion. Is this bank doing away with your passbook? Come to us. And I'm like, please, by all means, do it. I dare you. And did we lose anyone? No. Because it was just the perceived value of oh my God, I have a comfort of my passbook. But they got so much more by not having it. So it's interesting that while they recognize that digital is the most important part of their business, they're still clinging on to the paper piece because they see some sort of perceived value in there that maybe people want a stamp in time of what the news looks like. And that's just wild to me. And I don't know enough about the newspaper industry to really comment on what a better model is. But, people see the news so fast online, and even when they talk about help readers better understand their community and the world around them, that additional context comes from the comments that people post on social. So I feel like when I see a news article, I get better context by seeing what people post. So interestingly, that they're going to rely on USPS for deliveries for the newspaper, which helps counteract the number one job of UPS clerks. It doesn't say anything about couriers, which is good because my sister just started a new job as a courier. So job security there, hopefully. But the clerk job is in jeopardy. But another place that's trying to reinvent themselves. It says right here, reported issues with late delivery. Okay, hold on, buddy.
Okay.
And we're back. 5 more minutes. Okay. So I promise. Well, this has been quite the episode. I would love to spend another 20 minutes wrapping this up and talking about how this all connects together, but I don't think we have that in us today with my little friend here, which is okay. So I guess it comes down to, there's a lot of talk about this world changing and, different jobs. And while it probably won't happen by 2030, think about what we're doing for ourselves and our teams to innovate, transform, upskill. Because if we are just like the newspaper and bury our head in the sand and say, oh, we want to commemorate this moment in time with a print paper, so we're going to spend tons of money to have newspapers printed and only delivered to 11,000 people. That's wild. That's wild. If you're still holding on to Passbooks, please get rid of them. Reach out to me. I'm happy to give you some tips on how to do it. I've done it successfully at 2 places and it's worked out well. There's definitely lots of ways to do it. And it also helps if you pair it up with some sort of upgrade. Give them something to add. I'm happy to share my tips. But the best time to innovate is now. The best time to try something new is now. You can always say, oh, we should have done that 5 years ago. We should have done this a year ago. But anytime you're thinking of that, start now. And so if you're thinking of like, what does the next role for me look like? Start now. What new skills does my team need? Start now. There's lots of opportunities out there. All right. We'll continue this conversation for sure. Thank you so much for joining. Again, my name is CarrieAnne Cormier, a host here at The Carrie Show at BankSmart Studio. Thank you so much for joining, and don't forget to stay social and like, subscribe, and join us. All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you on Thursday.